We can drop a function simply by using the command drop followed by the function name, like drop get emp count. Let us talk about the different ways a function can be terminated. The first case is for normal completion. If there is no exception raised during the function execution, then like here, it will execute all the lines of code, print the statement finished successfully, and then the return statement will send the result of the function back to the calling environment. If, however, an exception is raised during the execution of the function, the control flows from the point the exception is raised to the exception handler section. Here, an exception is raised since we are trying to fetch department name, which is a character, to a number variable. So all the statements in the execution section beyond the point the exception is raised are not executed, and the execution flows to the exception handler section. Inside the exception handler section, as a good programming practice, we check if the cursor is still open, and if so, we close it, reclaiming memory. In our example here, the fetch statement caused the exception to be raised, not giving a chance for the close cur get dpt name statement to be executed, leaving the memory area open. We are also raising the exception to the calling client using the raise statement. If the exception handler section is not further raising the exception, then it needs to return an appropriate value back to the calling client. Otherwise, Oracle will raise an error aura-6503 with a message function returned without a value. You can also explicitly end the execution by the return statement. You are not limited to having just one return statement, but you can have multiple return statements. As shown in this code snippet, I have a function getTier. I have declared lSalary, a number variable, and given it an initial value of 50,000. Inside the execution section, I am checking for the value of lSalary, and if it is less than 40,000, I am returning 1. If it is less than 60,000, I am returning 2, and for all other values, I am returning 3. Notice, here I have 3 return statements. So since the condition lSalary less than 60,000 would evaluate to true, the second return gets executed, taking the execution flow out of the function to the calling client. The last DBMS output, outputting the final completion status, never gets executed. In some situations, you might have no other option but to do it this way, but I try to avoid having multiple return statements in a function if I can, as it leads to a kind of spaghetti code, and I have to look really hard for all possible exit points to see what code will or will not get executed for certain conditions. I rather prefer to code it as shown in the second snippet, where I have declared an additional number variable called lReturn, and inside the if-else-if clauses, I am assigning it the tier values. I print the final status of the program and then return lReturn at the end. This makes it more readable in my opinion and is a much cleaner way to code.